on this special edition of the RBS Evening News this November 5th. The House probe escalates. Sara Duterte's Chief of Staff departs the Philippines amid an ongoing investigation into the Vice President's confidential fund spending, raising new questions on budget transparency and accountability. Next, our teachers' compensation for the upcoming Philippine midterms. A promising update for educators as the ACT Teachers Group applauds increased honoraria for teachers participating in the 2025 midterms. And in the weather, Christine, then Leon, then Marce now threatens Luzon. As Typhoon Marce intensifies, signal number 1 is still active for Batanes. Northern Luzon residents brace for heavy rains and strong winds. And in the US, voting guidance for overseas Filipinos and Filipino Americans. As the US elections progress, a Filipino bishop in the US calls on Filipino Americans to vote thoughtfully. And school sports comeback. The Lyceum Pirates end their losing streak with a crucial victory over San Sebastian. Good evening, I am new Robloxer 97 from our RBS News Center. Welcome to the RBS Evening News. We begin tonight with our top story in the Philippines, where the House of Representatives continues its probe into the office of the Vice President's use of 125 million pesos in confidential funds. The funds that were reportedly spent in just 11 days have come under heightened scrutiny after Vice President Sara Duterte's Chief of Staff left the country during the investigation. Lawmakers are now questioning the fund's rapid disbursement and its purpose, sparking debate on transparency and regulatory oversight within the government. House lawmakers discovered that 10.49 million pesos of the Department of Education's 15.54 million peso confidential funds remained unaccounted for, despite being allocated for quote-unquote youth leadership summits and an information education campaign. At a congressional probe into the alleged misuse of funds by the Department of Education and the Office of the Vice President, a Representative Gervil Jinky Bitrix Luistro from the 2nd District of Batangas said on Tuesday, November 5th, that certifications provided to state auditors to justify these programs only totaled 4.05 million pesos. This is also for certifications to clear DepEd's 15.54 million peso disallowance for inappropriate spending of confidential funds still lack details into which programs the agency activities would fall under, Luistro argued. The Philippine Army, which conducted these youth leadership summits of the Department of Education, previously said that it had no knowledge of DepEd's confidential expenditures and did not use the agency's funds for the summits. In other news, we have our win for educators as their honoraria increases. The ACT Teachers Group has welcomed the recent announcement of increased honoraria for teachers who will serve in the upcoming 2025 elections. This change is expected to improve compensation and support for teachers who take on critical roles during the elections. The ACT Teachers Party List Chairperson Antonio Tino said the groups welcome the increase in the honoraria and service credits of teachers serving during the 2025 elections in the Philippines. And the Commission of Elections has included a 2,000 peso increase in the honoraria of teachers who serve as poll workers in its 2025 proposed budget. Dino made the statement after his dialogue with COMELEC Chairman George Garcia, where concerns of teachers' compensation, benefits, and security were discussed, as well as the teachers' group's desire for a mechanism that can help reimburse the teachers' legal and medical expenses. He called on Congress to restore the 14 billion peso that the Department of Budget and Management slashed from the COMELEC budget, saying that it will allow teachers to receive additional transportation allowance on the election day. COMELEC Chairman Garcia said in a message to reporters that the discussions between the ACT's party list and the COMELEC was very fruitful and a very insightful meeting, and that teachers' welfare during election is a must. No ifs and buts. A good developing story there. Now let's go over to our short weather update. We have this breaking news now coming in from Pag-asa, where residents in northern Luzon are preparing for potential impacts as Typhoon Marsa intensifies. We do know that northern Luzon has been the most affected region from Typhoon Christine to Super Typhoon Leon. With signal number 1 raised in Batanes now for Typhoon Marsa, local authorities are advising caution as the region anticipates strong winds and heavy rain. We will continue to monitor the situation closely as the typhoon moves through the area. And in this special edition of RBS Evening News, we will have the weather, with AccuWeather providing us the details and Pag-asa's latest advisory. So stay tuned for that. And so, here on the RBS Evening News, this is what's coming up next after this short break. Stay tuned for the updates on the US presidential race and the local sports highlight here in the Philippines as the Lyceum ends their recent losing streak. This is the RBS Evening News. All right, welcome back to the RBS Evening News. Turning to international news, the U.S. presidential race continues, and Filipino Americans are encouraged to participate thoughtfully. In a message to overseas voters, especially also to those in the Filipino American community, a Filipino bishop called for discernment and engagement in the election process, reminding the community of the stakes involved and the importance of making informed choices. A Filipino prelate of the Archdiocese of Philadelphia has urged careful discernment among Filipino American voters come election day. Auxiliary Bishop Ephraim Ismilla offered Mass at the St. James Roman Catholic Church on November 3, 2 days before most voters could cast their ballot in the high-stakes presidential race. And I quote, "God is with us and He will guide us in our election," said the bishop. "Pray so that you may vote rather for the right person. And Catholics will always follow the will of God," he added. And we have to take note that Pennsylvania is a key battleground state with its 19 electoral votes. It was crucial to the 2020 election victory of US President Joe Biden against the then incumbent Donald Trump by only 1.2% of the state's votes. We'll have also our other local stories to come back to. And again, we're going to repeat our breaking news that has been on loop for the past hour or so. For those just tuning in, Typhoon Mars's intensified conditions have led Batanes to remain under signal number 1. Officials are advising preparedness measures as the storm is expected to bring more rains across northern Luzon. And also in education, especially for the upcoming midterm elections in the Philippines, where we're visiting the boost in teacher honoraria for the 2025 midterms, which has received positive feedback from educators. This move aligns with efforts to ensure fair compensation for their roles on election day next year. And now on RBS Evening News, we have our weather report, which will include some breaking news about typhoon, Typhoon Marse, and it remains a primary concern with alerts active in Batanes and the surrounding areas. Batanes still reeling from the effects of Typhoon Leon, and from the latest advisory of the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, Operation Marsa is our top headline for the weather, with signal number 1 currently raised in Batanes, northern Luzon, and nearby areas. Metro Manila seems to be spared from this weather phenomenon. However, thunderstorms have occurred in the past hour. Residents should be prepared for potential heavy rain, strong winds, and hazardous conditions. And in Metro Manila, in the daytime for tomorrow, November 6th, we can expect a high of 32 degrees Celsius, though it may feel warmer. From AccuWeather, they say that the actual heat index could be 38 degrees Celsius. This is actually evident from today's weather. We have analyzed regarding the amount of the heat that we experience in the afternoon. It could have been also at around this level. The morning will bring sun with high clouds, while the afternoon may become mostly cloudy with spotty thunderstorms. There's also a 45% chance of rain and 27% chance of thunderstorms. And the winds won't be that much of a problem for us, unlike those who are going to be affected by Typhoon Marse. It's going to be moving at west-northwest at 11 kilometers per hour. Not much of a typhoon that we're expecting, and including gusts of up to 24 kilometers per hour. So normal conditions. It's also the sign of the start of the hanging amihan season. And evening and overnight tomorrow, we will see mostly clear skies with a low of 26 degrees Celsius. However, the real feel index of the AccuWeather, which is our sponsor, will be 31 degrees Celsius, a bit warmer than usual, than that we were expected, considering that it is the start of the amihan season and the temperatures are supposed but that has been the complaint. Winds will shift slightly to southeast at 6 kilometers per hour, with occasional gusts of up to 19 kilometers per hour. And cloud cover remains high at 88%, but rain is unlikely overnight. This is just our estimate, and we have to see whether or not Typhoon Mars's track will be updated in the coming days. But most likely when it will come on, when we come on to the Thursday and Friday, it might probably be not much of an effect into the Luzon area. And the sunrise and sunset, sun rises at 5:53 a.m. and will set at 5:26 p.m. So residents should stay updated to Marse. And that's the weather here on RBS Weather. We'll be back again on the RBS Evening News with the latest sports on the NCAA comeback with the Lyceum Pirates and their losing streak, and the end of their losing streak rather, over San Sebastian. Stay tuned. This is the RBS Evening News. Welcome back to the RBS Evening News with the latest election news in the United States. We have some news again on the latest polls and the other estimates that we'll have. But firstly, let's go to our correspondent Alexandria Carson with the latest insight regarding the US elections. Alexandria, welcome to the program. It's good to have you with us. What can we say is happening inside of the United States, especially as we realize this is already the first hour wherein the elections in the US have started? Oh,
We could suggest that those states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, days they have been
okay. Uh, Alexandria, I think we have a technical problem here with the sounds, but we have some. Okay, so we just we're going to break in with your analysis there because actually we are looking at the BBC News's report as of the moment. It's just gone 8 a.m. in the US's East Coast, and here in the Philippines it's already 9 p.m. So we have this report that voting is well underway in Alabama, Iowa, Kansas, Minnesota, Mississippi, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Texas, and Wisconsin, which is a swing state actually, with 10 electoral college votes. So we have around 10 more states. I think we had three states that opened at 6 p.m. Alexandria, I think we've figured out the technical issue already. How can we say that Americans, how will they vote in this critical election?
that's a great question, Neurobloxer. Very much here in this race, it's all about issues that Americans would like to talk about, like immigration, border policy. We certainly know for sure that Trump has a lead on those issues. What now is the current state of the southern border? Trump has promised that if Mexico still continues to say poor on this, provide this immigrants, that he will impose a 25% tariff against Mexico. Well, that sounds very much good, great to hear within the electoral Trump supports. If during the last parts of the campaign trail, Trump literally pushed on that narrative, yeah, as well as in 2020, as well as 2016. It always that narrative, and that is very much a good keep with Trump. If he tries to push it more further, then he could have more support right now. But in the demographics right now, the polls show that women are more likely to vote for Kamala Harris. We all know that women vote is very much crucial, since this is very much a historic election. It is a very much a game-changing one. This is the only second time in U.S. history that a female candidate has contested in this election. But that was in 2016 when Hillary Clinton ran against Trump. Um, Very much the woman is more inclined to vote in with Harris. But to be honest, women voting is not a very much a formidable bloc. There's still Republican women who will support Trump. But if Harris have courted with more likely moderate Republicans, men or women, if she, because in the campaign trail, Harris has been prioritizing on getting those Republican votes who are so dissatisfied and so disassociated with Trump that they were willing to vote with Harris. If Harris did succeed on that, we could see a Harris presidency in the United States.
Yes, thanks for that, Alexandria. I think we're going to also hold on for more analysis. We've got also the last poll that was made today from ABC News. We know that these are the swing states of this year. We have Pennsylvania with 19 electoral votes, Nevada with 6 electoral votes, Wisconsin with 10, Georgia with 16, North Carolina with also 16, Michigan with 15, and Arizona with 11. But one thing that we notice here, one, two, three, four states are leaning towards Trump. Where he is leading is in Arizona. I mean, we could expect this as a usual state. I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, it's a long time coming that Arizona has voted Republican. It's not a surprise there. Wisconsin and what do you call this? Michigan are quite also Democrat in this case. But one thing that we'll have to notice is that it's Pennsylvania all over again that we have to take into account. They're tied at the moment. If we were to look at their polls right now, it's at 48.2% for both candidates. For you, Alexandria, what do you think does this mean for the electorate of Pennsylvania? Are they divided, or is this just the case of voter apathy?
Well, there are many factors to say the least. Polls are just polls. It's there to consider that what are the voting intentions were. It doesn't necessarily mean to reflect what will happen later on. It is up to the people later on to decide on that. It's not much of a voter apathy. We could consider that, but both sides have been pandering to voters that, oh, you must vote now. Your future is in your hands. Such as that. So it's very much unconvincing. We've seen on latest polls tonight that those who voted in 2020, 4 out of 10 who voted in 4 out of 3 who voted, 3 out of 4, sorry,
Yeah, it's alright.
voted on 2020 have most those are more intent to vote on what they voted within the past election. It is more clear that we could very much expect some of those who voted in 2022 vote the same candidate in 2024. It's very much a formidable lead for Trump, but these polls we don't know for certain because of that we need this to have some light on the polls itself. But we no, we're just gonna sit there and watch. We're gonna wait what will the results will be. For Pennsylvania, that is very much an important state. It very much is a key, more like a domino effect. Once Pennsylvania is the candidate P, if it wants to Harris, there could be a possibility that Harris will win the election. If Pennsylvania goes to Trump, there will be a second Trump presidency. So very much, um, all eyes are leading to Pennsylvania. So, um, what will they choose? We don't know for certain. The polls are not. They're not divided. The electoral is not divided by that. Divided by the issues, but we could foresee more likely, more or less, there's still a margin of error. These polls are not very accurate, to say the least. Accurate to the best that we can expect, but there could be a margin of error. We could foresee that if there were polls today, there were exit polls, there might be a more lead to another candidate than it was shown here. So what we could do is just we could wait and see how the electorate has decided.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. I think that's the motto of this year's election. I think we have to take into account this is what happened during the 2000 election. We know the situation far too well, but this is a case where it was for the state of Florida, where Florida. That was the common line of the networks back then. It came to the point where Florida's results would be withdrawn and announced. But in this case for Pennsylvania, it's only the polls that are suggesting this image, and it was a good insight by our correspondent there that the essence of the Pennsylvanian vote relies on not the on how divided they are on the issues, but it's just a matter of how the people will vote, how many people will vote. It's going to be a show of numbers. It's not going to be evident in the electoral college per se, but it's going to be evident in the way that people vote. And I think that's going to be the driving opinionated force in the All right, I'm not sure if we had a problem, but I think we're back. Okay, so it says here that Philadelphia appears to be the scene of early morning election day hiccups. Some precincts, actually, a polling station was having a problem with the stuck door. And was also something about a it was mostly about the people's complaints that they're not able to vote in that particular precinct. But in other places in the state of Philadelphia, it's actually going much smoother. One is in a church, the Church of St. Luke and the Epiphany rather. 120 people are coming in, going inside in small batches, and coming out one by one. But the funny part actually of this is that there is a DJ table, helpfully marked as the DJ at the polls, which is blaring music out. So Drake, Lauryn Hill, and David Guetta are serenading. That might be the wrong word, but that's the eccentricity that we can find in the US elections there, serenading the votes. of the United States populace there. So we're sorry, we apologize again for the technical problem. If we have problem with the mic on here, I think our microphones are getting some sort of noise that we cannot turn off yet. However, again, poll analysis have always been showing that Harris is taking a great lead actually, 51% to 47%. But again, this is actually what's frustrating most of the analysts at the moment, and that is um, the margin of error regarding the polls, and we've said it and we've heard it from Alexandria herself that it's the the fact that we're having a analysis on the polls, the fact that this is how close it has come, it we could really say it depends. That's really the answer to the question that most of us have in mind. Who will win the election? It depends. But one thing's for certain, we're watching Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania will have more analysis on that in just a moment. So thank you, Alexandria Carlson, for our RBS News correspondent there for this discussion. We'll have I think we're going to have a quick break. We'll have the latest sports news now coming from the Philippines again. The NCAA comeback with the Lyceum Pirates making a powerful comeback with a hard-fought victory over San Sebastian. This is the RBS Evening News. More election news coming soon. Good evening. It's great to be back here on the RBS Evening News. So we have our latest sports news now. In sports, the Lyceum Pirates have made a powerful comeback after their recent losing streak with a hard-fought victory over San Sebastian in the NCAA basketball category. It was a critical win for the Pirates, who showed resilience on the court. Renz Villegas presided over the Lyceum of the Philippines' University's 93 to 85 win over the San Sebastian College Recollectos Manila uh, as the as they arrested rather a three-game slide in the NCAA Season 100 on Tuesday. The veteran guard dropped a career-defining career high also, 25 points together with 3 assists, 2 steals, and 1 rebound to spoil a late surge from the Stags, helping the Pirates improve to 7-8 and tie with Letran at 5th spot. So congratulations there for the Lyceum Pirates for a job well done. It's really seeing how the NCAA has promoted Philippine schools with regards to the field of sports. All right. So it's back with America Decides, and we have to see the state of democracy in the country, of the United States, rather. And the 2020 actual results coming in from 270 to win, we see that there's this sea of blue in the West. It's quite usual to see it with the states of Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada. Arizona was a surprising shift to the blue. Actually, it was a very surprising shift. We hope to bring up the graphics here, but from the top of our computers here, we also see here the New Mexico and I think I forgot the name of the state. Oh, for goodness, CO. Oh my gosh, what? Colorado. There we go, Colorado. So those are the states that went blue in the 2020 election. For the East, we know that they're the states, the usual state of New York and of what they call this. Georgia also was a Georgia also went blue at that. We also have Vermont, I think, that went blue. Uh, yeah, and so on and so forth. But now we are coming to the 2024 election, and RBS News wanted to see the estimates on how a potential win could happen. This is made possible by 270 win. So we're going to see on the states now if ever if Arizona goes red. So we're going to click on it to become red. If Arizona goes red at that time of the election, if all goes to plan, if all goes like 2020, the Republicans will have 230 electoral votes against 226. But the magic number here is the number 270. So let's see how other states would vote based on the polls. We know that there's a majority of it are coming to Trump. So let's go to Nevada. Nevada is a red state, we can say. So 6 electoral votes are safe and secure in Trump's hands, but that's not sure yet. But the margin of error, of course. So let's see if it becomes red, you have 236 for the Republicans and 226 for the Democrats. Let's go to the eastern states. Let's go to Wisconsin with 10 electoral votes. If we click that and we allow it to go to the poll, which was Wisconsin went to Harris by +1. So let's go with Harris. Double click that. 236 to 236. That's the poll actually for that time if all goes to plan. Let's see. The other states that went for Harris are Michigan. So let's go with Michigan. Let's change it to the color blue with its whopping 15 electoral votes. And let's see. If we have other states here that are the battleground, we say North Carolina. Let's see North Carolina. If North Carolina with its 16 votes, electoral votes rather, goes for the red, which is actually what its trajectory seems to be, we have a 252 votes, electoral votes for the Republicans, and Democrats with 251. But still, we have two states. So let's go with Georgia. Let's go with Georgia, which is still leaning towards Trump. So click on that and you get this great picture of the Democrats getting 251 votes, electoral votes, and the Republicans are getting 268. However, this is the big however, what state was left over for the election to be decided? It was Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania, in this case, in RBS News Analysis, has become the new Florida. Florida has come straight into the red territory for the past years. It has been consistently so. But Pennsylvania is a bit of an indecisive doll over there because in the past elections they voted for Obama, and then shockingly in 2016 they voted over for Trump. The purple state, as it's called, it's really visible. And 19 electoral votes, that's very crucial. So let's see. If they go Republican, even if they lean Republican, the Republicans will win the election. However, if they lean blue, it's just the right amount of votes for the Democrats to win. This is the surprising part. So you see it like 2 electoral votes is just the difference. And this just goes to show that if we were to look at the polls and it would happen at this time of day, either way, we're seeing how close the fight has become toward to let's see if North Carolina wishes to follow in the footsteps of I forgot of this the VAs. I think that is Virginia. If it goes to the footsteps of Virginia here, North Carolina, let's see if it becomes Democrat. 286 Democratic votes are secured, and this is going to be, I think, at least an acceptable result for the Democrats and even for the Republicans to concede defeat. But what if it was this case that let's take some states out of the equation, like for example Georgia. Let's take it out of the equation for now, and also Nevada, okay, and Arizona again. So we have the solid state here because these are most of the swing states are the ones that we call the purple or the bruised states. So again, even if Pennsylvania were not to declare anything yet, it would really be the case where we would say, okay, we need to decide on who has to win, and it's not happening. But earlier RBS News analysis showed that there is a chance, there is a chance. For example, if we replace Nevada into the blue and Arizona into the red, Georgia is red as it says, and then after that you'll also get okay, you also get North Carolina as blue. Even without Pennsylvania, it's going to be a Democratic win. But if we remove Wisconsin's vote, let's see if Wisconsin decides to go red, and then we add on to North Carolina's red vote. It's the Democrats, it's the Republicans who will win. But if Pennsylvania wins, it's still nothing. Still nothing. Pennsylvania goes to the Democrats, still nothing. How about North Carolina turning blue? Arizona still remains blue. 274. And this is just without Pennsylvania yet. So, how about there's a lot of things that we can say, that lots of things that we can predict, but we hate to break it to you, even for us analysts over here at RBS. It seems like we're going to have a long night, but one thing is for sure, the US is not going to hesitate to bring in their full force of the vote. That's very sure. It's going to be few hours. Here in the Philippines, we will be probably asleep by that time. Most of us will be asleep by the time we're monitoring the situation. But again, the race to 270 is not just about numbers, it's not just about the polls, it's not just about the pundits and all the political drama. It's going to be a fight for their democracy. And this is where we have some other news. Remember that we had our story regarding the Filipino Americans deciding to vote. Majorly, the concerns that they were talking about is inflation. And Alexandria, our political correspondent, said that there are issues being emphasized by most voters. And this is probably going to be tackling inflation. This is also going to be about other issues that are pressing abortion rights. We also, those are the immigration. Those are the battle cries of these parties. But the question remains is, will that work in this time and age? Surprisingly, the answer is yes. But the question remains, on the actual day of the election, will that rhetoric work? Will that make enough votes? Will that convince people and produce that sweet, sweet 270? Time will tell. The people's voice will tell. It's something hard to comprehend. But that's the beauty of democracy. It's not about waiting and waiting and waiting on who wins, what the campaign says, what your candidate promises. It's not. The beauty of it is you are able to vote. You are able to execute, to produce your voice as a citizen. And I hope that even to many of the youth who are actually going to be voting in this election in the US, it's going to be a show of civil society and function. How civic awareness, social awareness is key to the development of a nation, to the development of a society. And it's not just all about the numbers. It's not just all about the what do you call this in Tagalog, the borloloys and whatever. It's not going to be about all that. It's going to be about what matters. The goal continually waiting on and analyzing here on RBS. And the following hours, we do hope that we will have more news to come with you for that. But again, a recap on the headlines is already this on the second hour, approaching the second hour of polls opening in the United States, with America deciding on its democracy, deciding on its future. I'm Euroblockster97. For all of us at RBS Evening News, stay with us for more updates. Thank you for joining us and have a great night here in Manila to the world. Good night.